Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Coming to you almost live from the Strategium in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, it's the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 102. It's November 27th, and I'm your host, Elric. My new army will be sexy, Edge. And with me today is...
Bill. My new army is going to be my old army.
Oh, Bill.
Castello.
Oh, Bill.
Dude, it's Blood Angels. Come on. No, I'm kidding.
I swear to
I'm
God.
kidding. I knew I could trigger you. God, I feel good.
I can't even.
No, I was talking about the Bone Reapers versus the Ogres.
Oh, fair enough.
So I just, yeah, we'll get to it.
Nice.
In creation, I'm going to have a cathartic moment where I admit my utter failure.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yep.
Podcast turned into a therapy session pretty quick.
Yeah, basically. Pretty much.
It's all right. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it's I get a hiatus too, So, and yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. So, what are we going to talk about in episode 102? Oh, wait, it's our new thing. We're going to actually dive deeply into something.
Yes.
All right. What's that going to be?
So we are going to take an in-depth look at how plumbing works in tabletop games of Necromunda.
Oh, that is,
Yep.
I don't think anybody's done that before.
I don't think so, and I think it's very important to know why, when, and where we have all that piping.
Tube flanges are big,
and
knowing where they go.
And who takes care of it when these a-holes go out there and shoot at each other?
Yeah.
And they hit one of those pipes.
And randomly just blow stuff up, which ruins the water pressure in the underhive.
Very important stuff.
Yeah.
Or we could talk about Morathi.
Who's that? Oh, wait, yeah.
And yeah, I know. A bunch of other shows have been digging into it. We don't care.
We don't care.
We're going to do it.
We're here for Morathi.
Yeah.
So.
Because Morathi's here for us.
That's right.
Not really. Morathi's out for herself.
Pretty much here
Very
for her.
Much.
Yeah. But
But we're along for the ride, baby.
You got to respect her because.
Oh, yeah.
Man, when she says, I'm here, babies. Yeah.
Yep.
She's all on it. Yeah, we're going to be diving deep into Morathi. And what a long, strange trip it will be.
Indeed.
This is a book that, well, we'll get to that. But first, last Saturday, there was a preview show.
Was there now?
There was, yeah.
Oh, yeah. This was a really good one.
It was amazeballs.
Really good. Everything they showed was fantastic.
Yes. And I just, oh, wow. Anyway, it started out with the 40K Warzone Caradon Act 1, The Book of Rust. So
yes.
a campaign is coming out for 40K.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 40K releases are hot and heavy. We kind of expect that.
Yeah.
And
along with the campaign book is a new Crusade mission pack.
Yes, the Plague Purge.
So this will likely have all kinds of cool new things like the last Crusade pack that had the Necron goodies.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of themed towards the Death Guard. So, yeah, I can see that. They also announced two things one thing that caught me off guard and one thing that was like, yeah, it makes sense. The Dark Angels Codex.
Yeah.
So, and it does kind of make sense that they come out. So they have not received love in a long time, and they're getting copious amounts of it.
Yet another Dark Angels Codex and no Lionel Johnson.
I think we will see him sooner than later. There's just way too much stuff out there pointing towards Lion coming back.
I guess.
So I really think, I mean, they may drop a Chaos Demon Primarch first.
Yeah.
But it might be a wow.
Low hanging fruit.
Wow.
Low hanging fruit.
That's for you, Anders. Kidding. That was not for you. But yeah, I mean, I could see them doing a double drop of Lion and a Chaos dude. So
The Lion and Luther.
yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be super cool. But then they announced the Drakari Codex.
Yeah.
Which is like, whoa, left field. Here we come.
I mean, we knew that a book was coming out that was not going to be another Marine.
Yeah.
book.
And they said it was going to be a Xenos.
Yeah.
I expected Craft World, kind of, but.
Or maybe Tau or Orcs. But yeah, Drakari.
Yeah, that's a.
Good times, though.
I tell you, with the revamp of that model line and, whatever they get from this, it's a good call, I think.
I think they're going to be in a fantastic place because 9th edition is all about being able to get around the table, and that army is quick.
Yeah.
They have a lot of efficient shooting.
Yes.
They have some pretty efficient close combat stuff, too.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that army is going to be in a pretty sweet spot with a new book.
Yep. I think it's going to be it'll be an eye into what Craft Worlds is going to look like.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll kind of, along with Craft Worlds, it'll cover what Yanari might look like. So it'll give you an eye into what's coming, I think. Woo.
Yeah, good times in 40K land.
You betcha. And well deserved.
Did we talk about the preview of that Plague Marine terrain piece?
We did not.
The little plague furnace?
Yeah, we did not last time.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool looking
That is a
new terrain
very
kit
sweet looking
for
model,
Death Guard.
which I have all up in that box right there. Because remember, I went full Death Guard with the Plague, with the Dark Imperium, was it?
Yeah.
The 8th rollout, yeah. So I went full scale into that.
Oh, wow.
So,
I didn't realize you had a bunch of Plague Marines.
yeah, and most of it is built and primed.
Sweet.
Yeah. Next up, they did Necromunda, the Van Saar book.
What do you know? Stunning models for Necromunda. Necromunda looks ridiculously good.
Yeah, it's, it just goes back to that whole thing of the Warcry warbands, the stuff coming out for Underworlds. Just whenever they get a chance to go full scale into a small thing, they just knock it completely out of the park.
Yep.
It's when you do the big army releases like the new Primaris and the new Necrons. I mean, there's no misses there, but it tends to, it's not as impressive because there's just so much in the range that's new. Whereas when you get a new gang like that, or just additions to the gang, and they are that crazy good looking.
Well, I think it's also, when it's a smaller scale like this, you can put so much more individual character into each model.
And, the beauty of it is, and everybody notices, whenever they have the opportunity, they're adding girls, they're adding females.
Oh, yeah.
To the gangs, to the Warcry war bands, wherever they can logically put a female representation, they're doing it. And so, that's like a pretty 100% turnaround.
And speaking of putting tremendous amounts of character into a model, this next one, there was tons of sweet releases. AOS probably got the biggest announcement of them all, and we'll get to it. But Treebeard.
Oh, my.
The new Treebeard model, I cannot get over how fantastic that model looks. I swear it looks like something that, the name escapes me. The people that did all the Lord of the Rings stuff for the movies.
Oh, Weta Workshop?
Yeah, it looks like something Weta Workshop
would done.
do.
Yeah. And
it's a model that you can play in Middle Earth strategy battle games. It is so stunningly good.
Yes.
Oh.
It's everything they learned from doing the Sylvaneth and, doing all of these other organic yet, organic stuff. They just poured into that model. Is so
it's like they took a frame from the movie and made that frame a model,
Mm-hmm.
which I know is like the goal
Yeah.
for sure. But the way they accomplished it this time is stunning.
It's brilliant. And you get Merry and Pippin, too.
Indeed.
So-
Yeah.
So you need more hobbits? You got more hobbits. So.
Never have enough hobbits, I guess.
Well, I mean, that rounds out the 4, so.
Yeah.
Because they did Frodo and Sam. Then up for Dire Chasm, which is Warhammer Underworlds.
Yeah.
Book 3, I think. Slave to Darkness Warband?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that wizard model looks so good.
And if that's any, we keep saying this. If these are any indication of where they're heading in the next few years with models,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of models on fire or in the trash because they're just not going to be up to code anymore.
Yeah, when I look at that, I mean, the whole kit looks good.
Yeah.
But that wizard,
Oh.
I mean, you could strap a power backpack to it,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it's Chaos Space Marine
Yeah.
Sorcerer.
Yep.
Just, oh my God. Yeah.
You could use it all across AOS. I mean,
Mhm.
it fills so many. That's going to be the basis for so many conversions, for so many armies. It's crazy.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's another one of those that's going to fly off the shelves, not just for Dire Chasm,
Right.
which is, I have to believe it's part of their goal is to make some of these models that people get inspired by and do different stuff with. I got to think they like that.
And
Yeah, then they did some
Probably the-
AOS stuff and it was over, so,
probably the biggest announcement is a whole new army for Age of Sigmars.
And, of all the new armies to come out, what a waste of time.
Oh my God, get out of here. Yeah. Slanesh Mortals.
With Sigvald.
Sigvald
The
the
Beautiful.
Magnificent.
Oh, God.
That model is unbelievable.
And, I mean, just within minutes, you had people with the bottom of Morathi,
Oh,
the
yeah.
top of Sigvald, and they're like, they released Fulgrim finally!
Boom. Yep. Yep. And it works. He's a big boy.
God, yeah.
He is. That Fulgrim model is, or that Sigvald model is big.
Did you see the video for it, though?
Yeah.
Okay, to me, I thought the video might have taken a little bit too flippant of a depiction of Sigvald.
Well-
Where he was just like, "Oh, I got to do my hair. I got to do that. I got to be."
Oh,
You
that's
know.
his thing, though.
I know.
He even
but
he used to have rules about that.
I know about what he. Yeah,
I
but
think it's fantastic.
you made a lot of people happy right there with
Yeah.
Mortal Slanesh.
Yep.
I'm looking at that going, that is something that finally might drag me down the Slanesh path, because I've always loved all those models. They're so evocative, but I just really didn't want to, jump into an army like that. But I'm thinking this Sigvald release is going to be,
yeah.
and with all the foreshadowing in the Morathi book, I think they're going to be supported for a little bit. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how people were like saying, "Well, his face looks dumb." It's like his features
Yeah.
are all. It's like, yeah, he is so beautiful
yeah,
that he's hard to look at.
yeah.
Like it does not. It comes off unnatural.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's the
he
point.
looks like. I thought it was a really good way of depicting him. I
Yeah.
know the other models, some of the other models with the masks, they got pretty beat up because they look very scary.
Yeah,
Ugly.
I wonder sometimes though, because they're supposed to be mortals that are transitioning into demons, like they're possessed by.
Yeah, and
demons.
they're getting pulled apart.
Yeah, and I wonder sometimes if that is because of the skin tone that Games Workshop always paints. Like they're always the whitest.
They're
white.
super pale. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
there's people out there getting sun.
Yeah.
in their campaigns to prosecute wars of perfection. I don't know. Maybe they get a little melatonin. I'm just saying.
I would think they.
It just seems like all the chaos stuff they paint are like from Sweden,
yeah,
coming straight out. The 8 points is in Norway
it's
or
a
something.
It's a very different aesthetic that they're going for with that sort of overall scheme. I don't know what to call it, but it's definitely different. And I think at times it doesn't capture the model in the best light. It was like the Realm Lord release. Some of those paint jobs
yeah.
did not do them the justice.
Yeah, that cream didn't bring out the detail
Yeah,
that
and
was
then
on the models, yeah.
when you see some of the other paint jobs that people were doing, it was like,
Man, the
oh,
reds and the
my
purples
God.
and the darker tones actually made those models pop.
Jesus.
I was
yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that line looks good.
But I think they have an overall, aesthetic plan that they're going for, and there's real concerns about how do you capture this for box art, because some of those schemes just would look like crap on a box with the resolution that you're able to print at, and so
Yeah.
there's thought behind it. I'm sure that preview show was it was one of the best ones in a while.
Yeah.
Mo-
Everything hit. Everything.
And there was a little something for everyone there. No matter whether you were the 40K guy, if you're the box game guy, if you're the AOS guy, something came there that you went, oh, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good times.
I like it.
So then they decided last minute to spring Christmas boxes, or holiday
boxes.
on us, which, is always appreciated for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Some of them are stunningly good deals.
Yeah.
The Tyrannid one? And so for 40K, there's quite a few for 40K, and there's a few for
for
AOS.
40K, you have the Interdiction Force Space Marines, which honestly, I think that one's a big miss.
I think it totally depends on what army you want to do. If you're doing like Raven Guard or even Ultramarines or somebody, but I have Black Templars, and I looked at it and I said, well, I already bought to start collecting basically the Marine half of Shadow Spear.
Yeah.
Kind of already have all that stuff.
Yep.
So, but if I was doing another Marine army, I'd want to get my
jump
mitts
on it. Well, when I say it's a big miss, if you've already been doing your Space Marines, you are not going to buy that box because it fills certain roles. If you're brand new, that is a fantastic box to start with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then over there for the Necrons, you have the Eradication Legion. Again, if you've been buying up the releases as they come out with Indomitus on, this is not a box that's huge for you unless you need the flyer.
Well, I thought somebody said something along the lines like, if you bought Indomitus and then you buy this, like that pretty much gives you everything you need for Necrons, right?
And it really does. There's a bunch of holes it fills because this one has a Triarch Stalker and it's got the Doom Scythe in it. Yeah, it's. I mean, they tell right here it's a great way to expand the contents of your Indomitus.
There you go.
So, because you get a lot of the models that if you haven't been in Necrons all along, this will really flesh out your Indomitus stuff.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those that if you're already into it, you're probably not going to jump on it. If you're getting on that train, awesome box. And then the one that made me so super sad.
Uh-oh.
The Bastion platoon for Astra Militarum.
Oh, yeah. Why'd it make you so sad, Bill?
Well, because it's here. I mean, I kind of expected there to be a new Astra Militarum,
We're not going to get that for a while. Be patient.
But then again, now, the other thing is maybe they're just putting all the sprues into these boxes and saying, let's get rid of the last of these so we can bring out the new range. That could be too.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be awesome, but I don't know. Chaos got something because if you don't give Chaos stuff, they cry. And it's a Decimation Warband, which is...
There's a lot of good stuff in it. Monetarily, it's not the best
Not the
deal.
best of the boxes.
All of them are good deals. Don't get me wrong. But
Right.
if you're going to compare them to each other, I think this is one of the lower end savings.
Yeah.
However, I think if you buy that and start collecting Chaos Marine half of the Shadow Spear,
Your Shadow Spear box.
like
You got yourself a crazy cool force.
Pretty
You
solid
get Mauler
Chaos Marine.
Fiend, which you can build as a Forge Fiend, and tons of infantry. So
Marines, there's there's Terminators, there's Havocs, there's that sweet Chaos Lord with the double-handed hammer, which looks super intimidating. Yeah, it's a good box.
it is. And then the Tau got their Star Pulse cadre back.
The obligatory Tau box.
Yeah.
That we get every year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not the exact same box, but we always get a Tau box.
It's pretty close to the box from 2 years ago. I mean, it's pretty close. And again, this is if if you're Tau curious, it's a great box to get.
Sure.
But if you're Tau curious, put it up until they get a book, because trust me, you don't want to start now. They're not good right now. I was watching a couple of different videos online that were ranking, the different forces, and literally it's neck and neck at the bottom for Tau and Tyranids.
Oof.
Yeah, it's, it depends on whose opinion, but everybody has them at the bottom. And it's just because the play style for Tau and the way the rules are written right now.
They're kind of a static army.
Yeah, and they don't do shooting as well as everyone else now, and yet they still only play in that phase of the game.
Yeah.
Being as this is an objective-based game, and they don't have that movement, and that's not their shtick. They're not in a happy place. Then you had the Tyranid Brood Swarm.
So I think this is monetarily one of the best deals.
Yeah.
However, I think this box is really starting to show the age of that line. Because you get like 12 Gene Stealers, 12 Hormagaunts, or 16 Hormagaunts. Those boxes still come not in sets of 5 or 10 or whatever.
But those odd.
But those odd ones, because the sprues are just that.
Yep. And I mean, this is a good box to get started with Tyranids.
Sure.
You are still going to find yourself with spares.
Yep.
And it's not going to fit nicely into a Force org. So, but hey, it'll come. It'll come. Don't worry. Then if you go up to the AOS boxes, now we get into some really interesting things. The Fate Sworn Host for Tzeentch.
That box looks sweet.
Oh my God. 35, all headed up by a Lord of Change.
Yeah.
You got yourself pretty much an army in a box. Kinda. I mean, you're going to have to put a couple of start collectings in there, and you might want to get that extra Lord of Change. But you're well on your way to a very good army.
Out of all of them, that's the one I'm most tempted for.
Really?
I'm not going to get any, because I have a Tzeentch army, but it's all demons.
Yeah.
So this would give me a bunch of
you a
Arcanauts,
lot of humans.
and it'd give me another Lord of Change, which, nothing wrong with that. But
Nope.
out of all of them, that one is the one that I would get if I was going to get one.
And then next up is the one that makes me curious.
Ooh.
It's weird because it's Caradhran Overlords.
Yeah.
And it's only 10 models in an army box.
Yeah.
But
3 of which are boats.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard. It's I feel the KO calling, but
the cool thing is with the new book, you buy that and you buy 1 or 2 start collecting boxes. And because you don't have to have Arcanaut Company anymore, you can make other units your battle line. You can make your gun haulers battle line. You make your balloon bros battle line. You will have an army. Get that, a start collecting or 2, and an ironclad. Boom.
And you're playing on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their rules
with a good
now
army
are very good. And
the only downside to that box, if you want to call it a downside, is it comes with Brock Runninson.
Oh, yeah. It sure does,
and not everybody wants to run him.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes putting a special character like that in those boxes
it's a miss.
Yeah.
Because that kind of ties you into a play style and a list style.
Yeah. Whereas if that was the Injured Master with dirigible suit, that'd be a home run.
Yeah, that would just kick that box over the top. Next up, the Gloomspite gets Fungal Loon Horde.
So this box is funny because it's everything you would actually want to play at a Gloomspite gets. No goblins.
Yeah.
It's all squigs and trolls.
Squigs and trolls.
So you get that, and then you get some start collecting boxes, which also happen to be squigs and trolls.
Squigs and trolls.
And you'd be good to go. In fact, I think I was adding it up. That box and a start collecting or 2 would give you like 1,000 points of trolls and almost 2,000 points of squigs or something. I forget the math that I did, but
I remember you running through that. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was maybe that 2 start collectings and 2 Mangler squigs.
Yeah.
And you have yourself an army and a half.
Jeez.
Yeah, something like that. So
super deal.
And super fun armies to play.
Sure.
The trolls and the squigs.
And then you get to the box that I think is probably the best of all of them.
Okay.
Which is the Ogre Maw Tribes,
Yeah.
Meat Grinder Warglut.
Yeah.
I mean, it is crazy value in that box,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a crazy fun thing to play.
Yep.
And it is a giant, one of the small giants, one of the man-eater giants. Ale Guzzler, Gargant, sorry, let's be real. You get 4 Iron Guts, you get, 12 Gluttons?
8 gluttons. I think it's the 6, it might just be 6, whatever the original box is.
No, but there's 2 boxes in there, so you get 12.
Are you serious?
Yeah, then you get a Tyrant and a, what's his name, Cannon.
You also get Iron Guts.
Oh, and there's some lead, yeah, you get 4 Iron Guts.
And Lead Belchers.
Oh, yeah, there's the 4. Yeah, there's even more than I thought.
Yeah, it is.
There's 4 lead belchers, and yeah, that box is just crazy value.
Yeah,
and you're not having to buy a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah,
to make a full army. I think honestly, if you buy another box of Iron Guts and a couple of other, and you're in there.
like a Slaughtermaster.
Or Butcher.
Butcher, and then maybe a Firebelly or whatever. That's kind of the problem with that line, though, is like the other stuff is all fine cast.
It's all fine cast. Yeah, I know. I struggled with that because I built them all this week.
But you could buy that and 2 Start Collectings, because the Start Collectings are the Beast Claw Raider side of it. And you'd pretty much have, other than the Wizards, everything you could want
out of that book.
For the Ogre Maw Tribes.
Yeah, and you could play with just innumerable lists.
Yeah, and that to me shows how good that box is.
Yeah.
It gives you so much, man. It's
27 miniatures, and
they're all big boys.
All of them are, and they're all things you're gonna play. You're going to have in your army.
Actually, that was the box that probably made me want to buy the most. Because eventually I would love to have all the Destruction armies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're not exactly a priority. But that deal, oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Good times.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break.
All righty.
We're going to go grab some food.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come back, talk about a little creation, and dive into Morathi.
So good.
Stormcaster, cool.
I wonder if I recorded that first segment or not. I don't remember if the light was right.
All right, let's talk about creations. What have we created, Bill?
I know I have less.
Okay.
So I built a butcher.
Okay.
And I changed the butcher around, so now the cauldron is on a little cart, and he's hauling that with chains around his belly, because I could not stand the chains on the that were wrapped around the cauldron and then connected to his shoulder, and I thought that just looked janky as all get out. So
fair enough.
Shaved all that stuff off and made a cart for it, and I did the Slaughtermaster, painted that, or got that built, got the Firebelly finished building. I have built exactly 1 Iron Gut from the box of 4, because I spent an inordinate amount of time looking for one lost freaking shoe. But I dropped it, and I swear to God, it has gone into the black hole.
It happens.
It's those CERN people have done something, and there's another dimension somewhere, because this room's not huge, and the area that it could have gone is not great either.
There it is, right there.
You found it?
So it'd be hilarious if I was pointing at it.
Oh my God, I would die.
It's foam!
I would have died if you found it. But
casually glance over and be like, there it is, Bill. Jesus, get it together, buddy.
Come on, dude. Open your eyes.
Yeah.
So, and let me see, what else did I build? Oh, I painted my captain's power sword. Salamander captain's power sword. I'm not super happy with it, but I like it. It'll probably end up staying that way. There's a little too much black on it, but I was painting it to be like a flame effect rather than a power effect. So.
You know what? You could probably just leave it pretty much the way it is, and maybe just add some more bright.
Yeah.
Take the yellow up and maybe give
a
it
little bit of the dark out. Yeah.
Whitish, high end, whatever. I mean, it works.
Yep.
Well, then
What'd you do?
We did about the same. I remember last episode, I was like...
Yeah, we were going to bring a boatload of
we were going to bring the pain. Well...
And it's Thanksgiving week.
Well, not only that, but I was supposed to have family this weekend.
Yes.
From Thanksgiving, and instead they came last weekend. So it kind of derailed my free time. But I still did get some hobby done. Built some Blood Sisters, and I built the, I think she's called the Melusai Iron Scale, the new character from the Shadow and Pain box, who is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Such a nice looking kit.
Yes.
In fact, all those, the Melusai are so good.
Mm-hmm.
All those models are fantastic. So, yeah, that's what I will be doing all weekend. I'm hoping to get pretty much everything I have on my desk built, which will be another 10 Melusai, like 15 or so Canary, possibly Morathi, and a Medusa.
Nice.
I'm hoping to get all of that at least built so that I can then start painting. I have the paint scheme concept in my head.
Yeah.
I just need to translate it onto a model.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that good of a painter that I can just be like, okay, I'm going to start with this paint, transition to this paint, shade with this paint, highlight with this, and boom. So it's going to be a little bit of trial and error to get hopefully what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, what you have in your mind's eye onto, and once you knock out a test model, then you start doing more test models to develop the process, and then by the time you're done, you can knock out an army. So
that's the idea.
Yep.
We'll see how it pans out, but I'm all in on the Daughters of Cain. Well,
that's
the
a beautiful thing.
The Scathborn, anyways. I'm not about to buy 10 or 15 boxes of
Witch elves.
No, not anytime soon.
Oh,
anyways.
come on! That's where the meta is.
Yeah, right. Maybe one of these days down the road. But no, I'm gonna enjoy Morathi and 2,000 points of snakes.
I am
snakes
Chuck,
and harpies.
and say, Chuck, I need 60 witch elves, and say, here's the deal. You go out and buy them, and then build them, clean them up, paint them, and I'll pay you when you're done.
Yeah, just ship them this way, and do it for the cause, buddy.
Yeah,
for the cause.
Yeah. For a fellow Daughters of Cain player, come on.
Yeah, $60 a box of 10, man. When you need,
I know.
If you want to run that route, you're looking at like 10 boxes of that stuff. That's
an
pill
investment
to swallow.
Yeah,
it will have to wait until much longer after the holidays.
Yeah,
which is fine because again, like I said, I got another batch of the snake half of Shadow and Pain coming.
Yep.
With that, I'll have 2,000 points of the Zaroth Kai or whatever it is, the chamber out of the Morathi book, which is what I want to play anyways. So.
Yeah. Xanthar Kai.
Yeah, there you go. Good times. So yeah, that's all I got done, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was just this
holidays
kind of holiday creeped up, and it got really weird. And this was the week, at least for me at work, it was a week where a bunch of things were ending and some new things are beginning. So the time that I thought I was going to have actually didn't materialize. Yeah. So, you do what you can with what you got. And I built ogres now and then, although I do have to admit, there was one night that I had said in my head I was going to do nothing but finish up the Iron Guts and then build 12 more or 6 more Gluttons. Instead, I sat down at the computer and fired up Inquisitor Martyr. I lost an entire night to that. But, I got up to level 83 and I did one of those Crimson, one of the highest level Void Crusades, and it really, really made me mad because I got wimpy toward the end of the crusade because the crusade was at plus 11, so I was running at minus 11 levels, so it was each mission was a tough grind.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize is that the Supreme mission doesn't always follow that whatever plus you're at, whatever difficulty add that you're at. It doesn't always do that. So I got real scared about being able to get out of this crusade successfully. So I dove into the Supreme mission, and I didn't look up and realize that the difficulty on the mission itself was only like +4 or +5, and I could have just wiped through it. And I did. And so I screwed myself out of some rewards. But, what are you going to do? Live and learn.
Yeah. Right on.
So, shall we move into Morathi?
Yeah. I think we should break down this book.
Okay.
So,
at the beginning, just before we get really diving into the lore
here we
and
go.
the book itself,
Bill wants to have a talk.
I kind of do.
If everybody could give Bill your attention.
Yeah, please. Are you sitting comfortably?
No.
Well,
I've told you that. for the last 4 years, this chair is terrible.
Okay.
But
you know
go
what?
on. Let's
There
make
are
it about you.
stores where you can buy Anyway, I want to talk about who needs to buy this book and who doesn't need to buy this book and why you would buy it if you haven't already just jumped on the hype train.
Okay.
So if you're a lore head at all, you have to have
Oh my God,
this
yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Okay, if you are a narrative player, you have to have this book. If you play Daughters, Ideneth, or Stormcast, you have to have this book.
Or Warriors or Slaves to Darkness.
I'm going to get to that here in a minute.
Uh-oh.
Maybe you buy this book if you're not, deep into the lore and all that stuff. If you play STDs or Cities of Sigmar, you get some stuff in here. If you're Slaves to Darkness, prepare for a letdown. So
Really?
yeah.
It makes all the Warcry stuff battle line.
Yeah.
I think that was like one of the biggest complaints with the Slaves to Darkness book to begin with, was that you had to you could either use the really sweet new Warriors of Chaos models,
Yep.
which, points-wise are pretty expensive, or if you wanted bodies, you had to use those not the best Marauders, and you just had this massive release of gorgeous Warcry, and none of it was battle line.
Worked for you.
Now you have a force that makes all that battle line. Some of it's really good, like the Untamed Beasts.
Yeah, but I still don't think it's one of those things that's going to unlock and push Slaves to Darkness to the forefront.
Well, no, probably not, but it lets you play with all new models.
It gives you options, and and if you're a hardcore Slaves to Darkness, you're going to want the book. But if you're just kind of, slaves curious,
I think you want it, man. I think you want it is so that you can play. So rather than building those old, not great models, you can just go all in on sweet, gorgeous Warcry kits and the new Warrior. I don't know. I like it. I think this book is like a 99.9%.
Well, let's agree to disagree, and you'll just be wrong.
Swear to God, Bill.
No, I mean it is. It really does hit those armies in the happy places.
Oh yeah,
and it's kind of like Psychic Awakening, but not just two factions. I mean, this one seriously twisted Daughters of Cain as
and
a
Ideneth
faction,
Deepkin.
and Ideneth Deepkin just got a huge bonus. Stormcast got some increases to their flexibility, which are going to make them and some freaking battalions that are, oh my God.
Oh yeah, I was talking with Andrew about it, and he's like giddy. He's excited to play Stormcast.
Exactly,
again.
and that's what's going to as Stormcast players are going to look at this and go, finally, I get to play with my toys. I mean, and if you enjoy narrative play, there is a campaign in this book that is, if you have the armies that are called for. And again, that's something I'm going to hit on later. You have to have very specific armies to play the campaign in this book. If you have those in your group, it's going to be amazingly good fun. If what you're playing is Troggoths and Death Armies and all that stuff, you're not going to get a whole heck of a lot out of the book.
I agree, but I think this is obviously the first of many Broken Realms books. And if it's anything like Psychic Awakening, which, God, I sincerely hope it is.
Yeah.
And I hope we're going to get a bunch of these. It's going to progress the story significantly, and every army will get touched upon.
When you look at this book, actually improved the heck out of 5 different armies.
Yeah.
Cities of Sigmar, Slaves to Darkness, Stormcast, Ideneth, and of course Daughters.
Yeah.
And so if they do 4 of these books, they're pretty much going to cover everything. In AOS.
And the next book will likely have almost a whole new army in it with the mortal
Slaanesh.
the mortal Slaanesh stuff. And I'd imagine that's where the rules will be, and then in a couple of probably 12 months or so they'll redo the Slaanesh book and put it all together.
But and they may just be waiting for the AOS 3.0 before they drop a bunch of codexes, battle tomes, and then say, we have to do all these updates. So just the contents of this book alone was worth all of this 40K glut that we had. You get a book like this that is just so high freaking quality and high octane. There is, first of all, in the lore section, the story moves more than it has moved in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the rules section of the book, you see significant improvement to 5 different armies. Significant improvement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just this book is a surefire hit. And if the next ones coming are like this and they move, even if they don't move the lore that much further, they've done a great deal.
Oh, I think the lore is.
Oh, it's on a train.
Yeah, it's on a bullet train.
You betcha.
Moving forward. This book, for the old heads out there, this book reminds me of Nagash, the first of the End Times series, where it just sets up what is going to be one of the biggest stories in the narrative.
Yeah, and believe me, this is everything that Forbidden Power wasn't. You know?
Yeah,
I think
we got kind of a taste with Wrath of the Everchosen of what could be.
What could be coming down the pike.
And then obviously, I mean, if you have your toes in the 40K world, the Psychic Awakening series is a big one. But I'm more excited about this because not only am I excited about the rule side of it, but I'm more excited about the narrative story progression in AOS than I am in 40K.
Yes.
Because 40K kind of seems to just spin its wheels. I mean, it's nice that they're moving forward and telling new stories and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening, but, you know.
Yeah.
The Emperor hasn't been dethroned.
Yeah.
So
maybe we could bring back a new Primarch. Anyways, whereas in Age of Sigmar, man, like it's, they're
setting up a whole new age.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I think you can start flipping it around to Age of Slanesh, but I mean, because I think Sigmar is a bit player these days.
Ooh.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Fired.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Well, I mean, we just spent our entire dinner talking about
that
what's
is true.
wrong.
That is true.
And
so do we want to highlight, I don't think we do want to do like an actual narrative, a lore breakdown. If you want to get that, you can go to 2+ Tough, who did a series of videos.
I mean, that's the whole thing, though, is we have to give some of this overview for the rest of it to make sense.
Well, yeah, some context, but I don't think we need to do like a page by page.
No, we're not going to do that. But
and the Facehammer guys also did a really good one too.
Yep. But we're not going to just follow along with what they do anymore. So
why not? It works.
That's true. It used to work. So anyway, the lore section of this book, which is about half the book, because a lot of stuff happens. Actually, it's more than half the book. So in Act 1, it's divided up into 3 acts.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it's good. In Act 1, the overarching story is Morathi is on her quest to become a goddess. She's pulling strings and doing her kind of things. Basically, Act 1 picks up right after Wrath of Everchosen ends. Ossiarch Bone Reapers getting their foothold in the 8 points, basically controlling that gate to Akshi. The forces of Lady Olinda Catacross have, gotten into the domain. Nagash's forces have created a fortress made of bones of the slain, which, makes Catacross really happy. And that's what's protecting their realm gate into the 8 points. Now, if you've been diving into the Ossiarch Bone Reapers lore, that's what makes them super happy because they're able to pretty much replace losses and have a good time in anything made out of bone.
What does he got to protect that giant hole in his chest?
Oh, well,
nada.
Probably
nada.
Maybe a tunic or a napkin or something.
Napkin.
Yeah.
says Archeon here right above it. Yeah.
So, because of the craziness that's been happening in the 8 points, Sigmar is getting a lot more information about what's going on and what Archeon's plans are. So he's kind of giggling a little bit, and he goes to his good friend and fellow order leader, Morathi, because that's what you do. You
right.
always trust your
They're
lieutenants.
all on the
right?
same page.
Sure.
Completely.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, man, I need your shadow agents because you guys are really good at sneaking around and stuff. And let's find out, what this thing is. And they introduced this concept of Veronite. It's an ore that the forces of chaos use in their weapons. And it's like concentrated chaos energy and all this stuff. And like it says, a mere flesh wound from the mineral can cause uncontrolled mutations in the victim, rapidly destroying their body. But Morathi asks Sigmar after the whole, I'll help you with my spies and stuff, but here's the deal, guy. I need some Stormcast Eternals. I need some really tough guys, because mine are all little girls. And, sometimes we get beat up. So I need Eternals. I need those big, tough warrior guys that you got to enter the 8 points and start sabotaging the mining of this Varanite that they're using to make nasty freaking weapons. Can you hook me up, bro? Because, we're pals, right?
Yeah, buddy, old pal.
And Sigmar's like, well, of course. I mean, this is for the greater good, right?
That's how order works.
That's how Sigmar works.
Yeah.
He's a dolt.
How long has he had that kick me sign on his ass?
I don't know.
Says the age of chaos at least.
Yep. You betcha. So he reluctantly agrees and sends the Stormcast Eternals and the Daughters of Cain into Varanthrax's Maw, one of the largest mining operations. Now, gentle reader, if you're reading this and you don't see that there could be a problem with this, it comes back to he really does not know he's being deceived, because Morathi has been working with Catacros, and she's been hooking him up with bone that's imbued with the shadow of Ulgu. Allows his people to pass unseen. So it gives him sort of a spy angle too. So Catacros accepts the bribe, and he sort of just overlooks the good guy forces passing through as they make their way to this big maw, this Varanthrax's maw. They get waylaid a couple of times by some different token resistance forces, but nothing much.
Basic chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the only time they ever make an appearance is when somebody needs to get punched in the face.
Yeah, Gresh's Iron Reapers and the iconoclasts of the Slaves to Darkness. But they make their way into the mines with suffering very few losses. Of course, Morathi didn't intend to just destroy the mining operation. She wanted the Varanite for her own ritual.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah.
No way. But she's on our side.
She double-crossed?
No way.
Shock horror.
I'm totally. Anyway, when the time was right, she allowed the Stormcast Eternals to, why don't you guys lead, because you're tough, and we'll be right behind you, okay? Yep. We got your backs. So, being Stormcast and basically dumber than dirt, they, yep, let's go fight the bad guys.
Yeah. I remember we talked about Stormcast kind of being like that.
Yeah, they're the Dumb and
like,
Dumber of AOS.
Yeah. Which way did they go, George? Yeah. Which way did they go?
And what was really sad was the commander of the Stormcast realized at the last second that, this could be bad if they're not really our friends right now. And, he pretty much figured it out. He was hit by a paralysis poison right when he figured out what was going on. And, so he just, was unable to die and returned to Azir to warn Sigmar.
It happens. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, Morathi disappears, steals all the Varanite, and the Stormcast are left to just basically get butchered. Oops. And at the same time, Morathi was planning a heist from the Idneth Deepkin, and that's how they get into the book. When the Deepkin fled from Teclis, they took one of his artifacts, the Okarian Lantern, an artifact holding the purest light of Hysh. She uses her agents to go into the Idneth domain and steal the lantern, which is the last thing she needs for her ritual. All of her agents died. They're driven mad and all this stuff, but they basically do get the lantern and return it to Morathi. So now she's got everything in place for her ritual. It's time for Morathi to make her move. At this time, kind of Sigmar is figuring out something's wrong in the state of Denmark. I haven't heard from my folks, and I've been texting them all day, and I'm getting nothing back. So, and yet here's Morathi doing all this stuff. So aren't they together? So she, in the depths of Ulgu, is starting up her ritual. She's got captives, chaos captives, Nurgle captives. you name it, chaos. She's got captives, and they're doing what daughters do. They're just kind of slitting throats and collecting the blood. It's really well done in the book. It's actually written almost like an actual novel, but as you're reading it, the Ideneth Deepkin forces show up, and they're really angry about having lost the lantern, and they like really want it back. And she's like done with it. So she's like,
finders keepers, bruh.
Yeah. Actually, she's like, oh, you're right. That was
Possession's 9/10 of the law.
That was super mean of me. Here, I'll give it back. And so they're basically spoiling for a fight. They're just ready to kill everyone. And she's just like, oh, no, there's no need for that. Here. Oh, okay. Thanks. All right, we'll be seeing you. Bye.
Well, they have a massive battle.
Yeah.
With the Scourge Runner privateers.
Yeah. But yeah, it's her enemies killing her enemies. So, and then when it finally comes down to they're turning on her, she's just like, yeah, no, here's your toy, go away. Yeah, because the forces of Slaanesh were driven off by the Ideneth. Meanwhile, Morathi starts her ritual up, and she finds herself swimming in the belly of Slaanesh. And at this point, she still has the Akarian lantern, which is what she's using to gather everybody together. Like a lighthouse, it beckoned forth souls. All right, so blah, blah, blah. And then you were talking about having a chance meeting with a lover from a bygone age.
Oh, yeah. So while the souls are coming out, she's super bright. And everybody is speculating that this was Anarion, the first Phoenix King from the world that was. I was like, well, hold on a second, because I remember back in the Cain book for the end times, Morathi falls head over heels in love with Tyrion.
Yeah.
And it's because it turns out it's because he is like kind of the physical embodiment of Anarion once he gets Heartrender and is running around going bug nuts crazy,
going kind of ham. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Anarion, or
it's an open story hook,
or it's Karl Franz.
Oh, Jesus.
And his soul was so pure that even Slaanesh wanted it. And
nobody cares.
I'm just saying, Bill. He was that amazing that even Morathi needed to get a little bit of that.
Oh.
She was in love with him.
My God, who the hell cares?
I finally used a soundboard in a way that worked. Wow. Yeah.
Well played, sir.
Thank you.
Well played. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an Aryan.
Yeah, the general consensus is, yeah. At the last second, that soul realizes what's going on and actually plunges a sword into Morathi. But it's just a minute too late because she has already split into two beings, which is really cool from a narrative point of view because now Snake Lady Morathi is a thing.
Shadow Queen.
Morathi is a thing.
Morathi Kane.
Yeah. And that comes up later on in the how you play in the rules. It's going to be a very big piece of what happens for Daughters of Cain. But anyway, we keep moving on with the lore now. So Morathi and her shadow self single-handedly wipe out the remainder of the Ideneth forces and anybody that was still besieging her while she was doing her ritual. Yeah, she went kind of ham. And that's the end of Act 2. Is Morathi ascends to godhood and is pretty much super cool and has achieved everything she wanted to do. Act 3 kicks off, and to even vaguely cover all the stuff that happens in Act 3 this is going to be tough. But she travels to Anvilgard, Morathi, with a retinue of Cainites, under the guise of reporting to Sigmar, oh my God, all this bad stuff happened in the cave and all the Stormcast, and it's really horrible, and we didn't know what to do, so we're coming to you, okay? Cause bro, we got to do stuff. And so yeah, she wants to report about Baron Thax's maw. The Sigmarites in the city, and this is Anvilgard, mind you. not just any city. It's Anvilgard. They did stuff on this one.
Yeah.
And they're kind of suspicious, but it's a little too late. Once you have let, I don't know, an elven god into your city, pretty much things are going to go from bad to worse. She basically just rips the heart out of Anvilgard, turns it into Harkuran.
Yeah.
She takes Anvilgard. There's a whole bunch of really great, this is a super overview, but there's great stuff that goes on. She demands that all of the Stormcast Eternals be taken alive so that their souls do not return to Azir to report to Sigmar. So she wants to make sure he has no way of knowing about this until she totally solidifies her new city, which is Harkuran, and it's basically the beginning of her new empire. At the end of the book, we've got a whole bunch of things that are unanswered, which is, I mean, we all love that part. There's a lot of like little hooks at the end of Act 3. Like there's this Lord Veritant Van Breck, which actually got an army box. He's the commander of the Stormcast garrison. He wakes up in a prison being taunted by one of the priestesses, but then the priestess gets killed, and Van Breck is released from his bindings. He leaves his cell to find all the guards murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So he can just basically walk out, and he escapes, but he only gets this like momentary glance at his rescuer, and it's just a figure cloaked in shadow with crimson eyes and bat-like wings.
Yeah, so it was interesting hearing the different speculations on this, because Brecht's background is that he was from a family in Shaiish, I think. I forget where he hailed from. But anyways, he became a Stormcast, and he's, obviously very old, as Stormcasts usually are, especially Anvils with Eldenhammer.
Yeah.
And it turns out his family fell to death while he was becoming a Stormcast and doing Sigmar's bidding. So they all became vampires, and he took it upon himself to go back and kill his entire family to kind of right that wrong. So some people are speculating that this is like one of his old family members that was that's a vampire, a really powerful vampire that came and freed him. That's one possibility. The possibility that I think it is Malarian.
Dude.
Yeah.
You took my... Oh, man.
Yeah, it's Malarian. Or an emissary of Malarian.
You were supposed to like lead up to that and then let me... Okay, fine.
Sorry.
I had it coming. I did the whole who cares. Yeah, all right.
So... Yeah, and I think it's really cool where Malarian for now is just this like
in the shadows.
Yeah, he's a very obscure player.
Yeah,
and has not shown which direction he's going to go on anything.
He's taking on this very Cypher-like quality.
Yeah,
and it's like one time he's doing this, and then the next time he's doing something completely opposite. So, I think it's Morathi. Yeah, it was Morathi. She did it.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it's him. I think it's Malarian. But so, and that's kind of where. Oh, and just to round out the book, the very last thing you hear is the first words of Slaanesh, and there's something on the order of, "Golly gosh, you guys, that was really mean."
Yeah. Time for hugs.
Yeah. Let's just hug this one out. And
Time for
turn the
mouth
page.
hugs.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We might see something in the next book about Slaanesh, maybe? Maybe. So now let's get to the meat.
Okay.
Is this book meaty?
Yeah. It's meaty like a can of Spam.
Ooh.
All kinds of different meat. You
With
don't even
salt.
know what it all is, but you're going to eat it anyways.
Yeah, that's right, because once you fry it, it's so good.
Yeah, sure it is.
Oh, yum.
Anyways.
So what we have is the biggest changes to the Daughters of Cain. And the biggest change there, I think, is the Morathi model is not those convoluted rules of it's either one or the other. Now both of them are on the table, and both of them are amazing.
Pretty solid, yeah.
A big points increase.
Not that extra. It's 120 points, and you get both of them on the table. They're both significant force multipliers.
Yes.
And they totally reworked the way she takes her wounds. So she will always be on the table for a minimum of 4 turns.
Yeah.
Which, to me, is fantastic.
Yep.
On top of that, you got the you got the new. I'm trying because it's weird. This got released like pretty much right as the same time as Shadow and Pain, and Shadow of Pain has a bunch of updates too for Daughters of Cain. So yeah, between those two, Daughters of Cain got substantially good stuff.
Yeah. Now, I'm confused here.
Okay.
The Queen, they're a total combined cost of 600 points.
Right.
It's 480 and 120. So it's a sizable investment in your army. But they are, like you said, she's lost the Ironheart Arcane ability, but what happens now is all of her wounds are sloughed off onto the snake, and she can take a maximum of 3 per turn.
Right.
So, yeah, like you said, she's going to be on the table for at least 4 turns, and simply getting those wounds onto her is going to not just be, oh, I shoot her with a unit and then move on to other things because, I've done all I can. No, it's going to take an investment into putting those 3 wounds per turn. But she's susceptible to mortal wounds.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she has a 6-up ignore. The whole army has a 6-up ignore, which is good. But
Her unique spell has been updated to the Black Horror of Ulgu. It's the same spell it used to be, but with a range of 36 instead of 18. So, wow.
Well, she also had the base ability on her old War Scroll that doubled the range of all her spells.
Yeah, so now that just carries over, and it's in the base spell itself.
Yeah.
Because they tried to get away from the way it worked before. It's completely different now. It's 2 existing models on the board.
Well, and the way it worked before is she doubled the range of all endless spells, too, which was a bit...
that was a bit much. Just a little bit. Let me see here. Snake form gotten pretty big boost.
Yeah, she's choppy.
Anyway, Gaze of Morathi is now an 18-inch range attack with 2-up, Ren 3, D6 damage. That's on the snake portion. Heartrender gets 2 more attacks. You got the Venomous Tail. It's just, they're both so good. And the snake is a melee monster. Morathi Cain, which is the human or the physical variation, is such a spellcaster and a force multiplier. You're going to field that. I don't see a lot of DOK armies that are going to be based on other stuff. I mean, the Witch Elf lists are still going to work really, really well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely possibilities there just because Morathi is such a points investment. That being said, though, I think the return on that investment is really solid. But, when you take a 600-point model out of your list, it definitely frees you up to try other things. So, I don't know.
It's true. But, I mean, it's like playing a Lariel. 600 points, are you getting 600 points worth out of? I think it's questionable with Lariel. It's questionable it's not questionable with Catacross. He earns his points. Nagash can be either or depending on what he's fighting. Maybe. But I think with Morathi, you're going to get those points back every game. It's going to do 600 points worth of damage.
It certainly can. Played right. Yeah. It's
with the
good,
buffs and the just the flat out ability to do work. I think it's going to be a worthwhile investment. And what's fun is, and this is what I harp on all the time, is up till now, Daughters of Cain had a list that worked really, really well. And then there was a couple of other lists that were, competitive, but, maybe more like top tier gatekeepers. Now the book is filled with options just because you changed a couple of characters and you added a few things. Now you can do so much more and you can kind of reinvent your armies. Inside the book, there are battalions for Daughters of Cain that are just...
It all focuses on the Scathborn, the Melusai, and the Canari.
Which is kind of, where you want to see is the new models getting some play. Right. Because really, with the old book, what was really the best thing that came out of it was the changes to Witch Elves.
Yeah.
The old models and the new stuff didn't really see. I mean, there was always a unit or two here and there because they did different things. But now you're going to see armies of that.
I'm certainly looking forward to putting mine down.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Paint them up sexy.
I'll see what I can do. Now, I do have to say, this is kind of where my one complaint is why I didn't give it a pure 100%.
Oh, you did give it a 99.
Yeah, so, and this also ties into Shadow and Pain, because in Shadow and Pain, we got an update to the two Melusai War Scrolls as well as the Canary Life Takers, and we also got the new character, the Iron Scale. So the new Melusai War Scrolls are fantastic. The only way that you can play like a pure Scathborn army is to have a Medusa as your general, because it makes Blood Sisters battle line.
Right.
I felt like they missed an opportunity with this new Xenar Kai, or what is it? The new...
Oh, a Xanthar Kai.
Xanthar Kai. That... Because this is all focused around the Scathborn. The whole story is focused around them and how they know the inside scoop on Morathi because they're loyal to her, not Cain, and all this stuff. And the fact that Morathi doesn't make them battle line, I thought was a missed opportunity. Or even more so, the new Iron Scale character doesn't also make them battle line. I thought that... I mean, maybe it makes sense once you start getting into the mechanics of it and everything, but I thought it felt like a little bit of a missed opportunity. But, I'll still run Medusa as my general so that I can run an all-snake army, still run Morathi.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I wonder if doing that might have been a little too much. If it might have just gone a little over the top.
Maybe. I don't know.
So...
I mean, that's the thing about Morathi is, like, she doesn't lose anything by not being your general.
Right.
And same thing with the other character. I think she's the Medusa Iron Scale or something. I forget exactly. It's, not in the app, which is frustrating. But yeah, that's really kind of like my only complaint, and that's a minor.
Yep.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about some speculation on the story next, or
let's quickly go over what happened to Idneth Deepkin and the other guys. Idneth Deepkin, the War Scroll updates that they got are going to significantly change them.
Yeah.
The Alapex has got better movement. We're not gonna dive into each thing, but they basically got more attack and rend on the harpoons. The net prevents pylons finally. You would think something that ties you up. Okay.
Super good.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
The sharks got better. The turtle got better.
The Eidolon of Mathlan, both versions got way better.
Mm-hmm.
They both gained a 5-up Feel No Pain and a 50-point price drop.
Yeah,
so
that helps.
Not only you get a Feel No Pain, but a 50-point price drop for AOS that's ungodly.
Yeah.
So
it helps. And then they also got Mount Train for
for eels.
I'm
sorry,
Akellen Kings.
Yes.
And then there's also turtle traits, I guess.
Yeah.
I was going to say mount traits, but they're their own thing. So
it's kind of weird. It's so hard to make those big turtles into something because if you make them too powerful, they dominate everything. But they have been so lackluster for so long that I'd still love. I mean, I bought one for the wife, and it's. Whew.
I think it was on AOS Coach. I think it was. I don't know. I've listened to a bunch of different stuff, but they were talking about how the problem with the turtles beforehand was that they kind of did what the tides already did for you.
Yeah.
So there was no real incentive to take this giant point sink of an army, whereas now they've reworked it where his armor aura, his save aura stacks with turn 1, where you count as being in cover, so that makes you even more resilient. And there's all kinds of good stuff. And the particular build where he can have a 2-up save ignoring rend 1 with 16 wounds, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's a big tough boy.
It is, and it's overdue.
Yeah,
and
because it is a gorgeous model. Good Lord, those turtles look good.
And I bought one for the wife, and she's super excited about having it.
Yeah.
But, you know, all this time I've been telling her it's not something you want to jump on and build right away because it's not.
Well, she wants it now, I promise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's Deepkin. And basically, I think what it did for Deepkin is it makes some of those other units viable,
Yes.
which in turn helps make Namarti viable. And it does nothing to diminish the power of eels.
Right.
So really all it did was raise all the other things up to incentivize you to try everything else in the book rather than just eel spam. And I think that's the best thing you could have done for that book, because you didn't want to point eels to the point where they're not worth taking, or you're still going to take them. You're just going to have a much smaller army that doesn't do anything because it's just been minimized too much.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to reduce the points on Namarti further, because then all of a sudden you're just running around with like 150 Namarti on the table. And they're ridiculously good anyways. They're just overshadowed by eels. But now that they can be buffed by the turtles, they can work in tandem with the sharks. It's good times.
Yeah. It's happy days for Ideneth now. And again, they've added flexibility to the army.
Yep.
So it's not mono build anymore. And speaking of flexible armies that don't need to be buffed in any way, shape, or form, but somehow or another got buffed, Cities of Sigmar. Wow.
This one I'm so happy for.
I'm not.
Oh, God.
I think this is pure junk.
You stop it.
No, this is so... You take an already amazingly powerful faction and go, here's some free toys for you, by the way. Because, you know, you've been hurting in these areas for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole 6 months that you've been out, it's just been a tough slog for you. It's been an absolute slog for you to try to eke your way through a couple of games here and there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Elves are back.
Are they? Really,
It put all the old Dark Elves into one army.
Misthaven? Oh, my God. You're going to hurt. Anyway, yeah.
Harkaran is, Oh, man, when I saw this, I was so excited, because Dark Elves were my first ever army.
Yeah.
And now they're all put back in one faction, which
And they
is
have
what
a
it should have
thing.
been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a flag they can fly and abilities. And, it's
And they
so
work
cool.
like the other sub-factions in cities do now, where Free Guild, all the humans synergize really well together. All the Duarden, the dispossessed stuff synergizes pretty well together. And then you had like 85 different weird Dark Elf factions for no
Just
flipping
sitting
reason
out
whatsoever.
on their own,
And now, no, they're all back together as one. They are evil bastards that follow Morathi, as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good times.
Yeah.
It's good times. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, the change, one of the things I think and we're going to see this in other books, is the Cities of Sigmar stuff is going to be where everything else goes to die. No, everything else goes to be codified into something that's playable. And, this, like you said, this was a weird thing when Cities first came out, that all of these factions were out on their own still, even in the same book. They were just out there on their own little islands.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing them combined. And it was great to see how they did it both narratively and then how they tied that to in-game, here's your city. Morathi just took it, she planted a flag, and it's yours now.
Well, and we even speculated back when Cities of Sigmar was released, and the cities in that book are all based around fire and life.
Yeah.
How it was like, well, they could easily just keep adding more cities in future publications that take place in other realms.
To tie things together.
Here we go.
Yeah.
There's two more, because you also have Misthaven. So that's really cool. And then we got Stormcast, which...
Now, this is something that, every second book that comes out has to have something for Stormcast.
Oh, my God. Anyways, this one's really cool because it utilizes the older, essentially, the first run Stormcast stuff, your Judicators, your Liberators,
and
your Paladins and stuff like that, which is really, and it makes them really good.
Yeah, it actually gives them a reason to exist.
Yeah.
Whereas, we were talking about it in the last show, that there's no reason for Liberators now that Sequitors are here.
Right.
There was just no reason for Liberators. They were a waste of space. So now, all of a sudden, there is really what the Stormcast got is battalions that are just over the top. And if you play Stormcast, if you are Stormcast curious, this is opening up great, amazing new avenues for you. And I mean, this is a must-have. This is simply a must-have. So it's awesome. And then we move on to Slaves to Darkness, who got, yay, Idolaters. Whoa. This is so awesome.
Stop it.
Because now I get to play these tiny little war bands that were in another game. And
anyways, it makes Stormcast, or it makes, God bless, it makes Slaves to Darkness. You can use all the new models, their battle line. I don't know. I think this is the way it should have been when Slaves to Darkness was released. This just ties it all together.
Yes. This is, and I know I've been poo-pooing on it because I don't actually feel like Slaves got fixed by this. They've gotten a boost and they've gotten some new models to play with, but they still have the same old Slaves problems. So, and Slaves to Darkness did get Grisha's Iron Reapers, which is a War Scroll battalion. They got the Destroy the False Idols, which is a new allegiance ability, which it grants all Idolater units a +1 to wound against enemy priests.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're like, there's a lot of things that are in Slaves to Darkness that I think are very interesting. They have the Panoply of Ruin, which gives cultists the battle line roll. So you get something beyond Marauders now. Yay. Idolater Lords let you upgrade Chaos Chariots or Gorebeast Chariots into an Idolater Lord. So you get a lot of flexibility and you get more options when you're building a list. So, and like you said, you can actually use all those new cool models.
Yeah.
So they got some really interesting things. They got a Desecrate command ability, kind of cool. They basically got treated like all their faction and allegiance stuff got buffed.
Well, yeah, especially if you're looking for a Chaos Undecided army.
Yep.
I think it's cool,
And, I was sitting there thinking the other day, I have so many Warcry warbands that I could probably put a Slaves to Darkness army together.
Yeah, all that and start collecting. Give you the sweet Karkadarka Chaos Lord, which is like a freight train of damage model,
Yeah. And there's probably a lot of people out there that have bought hard into Warcry and don't realize that they have a Slaves to Darkness army that's hidden.
Now they do.
Yeah, it's just hidden, and you just have to look through the book and go, oh, wow, I've got all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a really cool thing. In conclusion, the book is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's amiss in this book. I mean, everybody that got touched got helped, some more than others. But again, this is a series of books, and 5 armies got significant updates. Mm-hmm. So you figure the next book, if it's only 4 armies, we're still ahead of the game.
Yeah, I would imagine it won't be too many if we're going to get a bunch of this Slaanesh Mortal stuff. It'll probably be obviously Slaanesh and then maybe, Gloomspite gets. Somebody, I don't know. I'm waiting to see what this could do for like Gloomspite or Beast of Chaos, or what's another one of those older books that
Seraphon.
Yeah,
Sorry.
ancient. Maybe Night Haunt.
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's
Flesh Eater Courts could use, I mean, I think if they do there's got to be a book coming up where Catacross goes, hey, woman, and substitute another word for woman. You used me and you tricked me. I'm a little upset about that. And so there's probably going to be a death book where Death gets together to try to do something to Morathi and something gets in the way and there's something else.
There's got to be some repercussions.
Of all of this. And
Because
that's the beauty of this is it's setting the stage for so many different optional storylines. But, you got to imagine that all of the factions are going to get touched with improvements and, new things.
Yeah.
So, this is the book that gives me so much freaking hope going forward.
Definitely.
Because, I mean, we've literally been in a place where we've been getting all this 40K stuff, and the AOS stuff that's come out has been, interesting to a point, but it hasn't really moved anything.
I'll be completely honest. I had next to no interest in Age of Sigmar anymore.
Yeah.
Until this book came out.
Yep.
And it was announced, and I was like, okay, well, cool, but we had the Wrath of the Overchosen that was supposed to be this launch of a new campaign and story and blah, 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 and then they didn't do anything with it after it came out, so we'll see.
It kind of made you wonder, was this another Forbidden Power thing?
Yeah, and then I got my hands on it, and I was like, oh, my God, this is it. This is the real deal. So, and there's a way more hype behind this too, because you get the Broken Realms website, getting all kinds of additional lore bits that they're emailing out.
They're emailing out the stories, and you're putting two and two together as you read these different stories, and you're like, wow, they're moving this stuff way fast. And so where is it going?
So one of the big things that we talked about before the show is Sigmar and the Stormcast Eternals and the issue that's going on with them. And this is something the other shows didn't really talk about.
Yep.
So what's going on when the Stormcast accompanied Morathi to the 8 points to try to get the ore?
Yeah.
When they started their battle, the skies turned blood red, and the forces of chaos rolled out their war shrines.
Yeah.
And the Stormcast were finding that as they were dying, they were not turning into bolts of lightning and going back to Azir. Instead, their souls were being absorbed into these war shrines. So while you have that up above, down below in the, I'm sure, not OSHA-sanctioned mines, Morathi is firing these freezing poison arrows into Stormcast and not killing them, but paralyzing them and taking them.
Yep.
Now, none of this is new because we've also had Nagash getting his mitts on Stormcast souls and them not going back as well. We also have stories anytime Archeon slashes one of them, they're gone. Anytime a Terrorgeist bites one, they're gone.
Their soul is gone, consumed.
There's all kinds of stuff like this. So what is Sigmar going to do when he finds out that his stuff ain't coming back anymore?
Or, things are going out and only half is coming back. And this is not a very good way to run an eternal army.
Yeah, they don't seem to be an army of attrition. They have to come back to go back out again.
Yeah, if you're going to play elite armies, they've got to be elite.
So, so we were speculating on what does this mean for Sigmar? Now, the story, the whole shtick behind what launches this thing is that Archeon is using this ore and slathering it all over the Azir realm gate in the 8 points to try to break it down so that he can finally invade the realm of Azir. I can't help but think that that's probably where Broken Realms will end. Yeah. That this series of books will end with Archeon finally kicking open the door and having a showdown with Sigmar,
Yeah.
which will be epic beyond epic, I'm sure. So eventually, Sigmar is going to get drug into this one way or another.
Yeah.
As far as the Stormcast go, he is going to have to figure out a way to get these souls back. There's another thing is he still making new Stormcast, or are all the Stormcast in existence from previous ages? Like,
Yeah.
I'm finding that is a bit of a gray area. I'm sure somebody out there knows the answer.
Oh, yeah.
And is like, well, if you would read such and such thing, you narrative posers, you would know, but I don't know. And from what I can tell, I don't think he's making new ones.
I think
can't
it's a
tell.
finite resource.
So he's going to have to do something about that. And that, I don't know.
And the process itself has flaws,
Right.
which are not helping any. And then you turn around the whole idea of, I took the toys that the elves gave me and I turned them on their sides and used them to hide things rather than to enlighten things.
Yeah.
So now they're mad at me. Morathi, who was an erstwhile ally, has finally turned on me.
Yep.
Nagash has never been my good buddy, but I always love him like a little kid brother. I kind of love my hair.
Yeah, he even references to him as his brother in Soul Wars.
Yeah.
And
So
it's like, you moron.
Mhm.
You are just an absolute clown.
And see, that's just it. Is if Archeon starts knocking on the gates of Azir, I don't know who is going to be there to go, we're with you, Sigmar.
Yeah.
So maybe they changed the name of the game to Age of Slanesh.
Stop it.
And,
Yeah,
okay.
Age of Archeon, maybe.
Yeah, Age of Archeon. AOA? Yeah, okay. But, I mean, there's got to be a comeuppance here somewhere. And this is what we were talking about over dinner, is I think they are laying the groundwork for getting rid of these grand alliances.
Yeah, you've been harping on this for a bit.
They just don't work. Sigmar is he's not a good guy.
No.
He may be order, but he's by no means good. He's trapped the souls of all these unwilling servants who are now forced to fight for him eternally. Right? He's not exactly something you look up to and say, that's what I want to be when I grow up. But then again, none of the other gods are either. So get rid of these grand alliances. And I don't know, it's just, when there is that big fight at the gates of Azir, I honestly wonder, is this going to be just a huge fight outside the gates of Azir to see who gets to go in there and unseat Sigmar? Because he has no allies. He has no friends. He's got no buddies. And I mean, I kind of feel, I know I pick on him a lot, but I kind of feel bad for him because everything he's tried to do, he did with noble intentions, but it's just come back around and everything has gone wrong for him. And so something's got to give.
Yeah, I don't know. I was talking about how the way the Stormcast thing works is they basically remember just enough tragedy to trigger them into basically a battle rage before they go into a fight. And Sigmar has like engineered it that way.
Yeah.
Which is a absolutely horrific thing when you think about it. And what Nagash could do, well, we know that Nagash can like take these Stormcast and break them down and feed them more of their memories than they actually have access to. So I was speculating that Nagash could take all these Stormcast prisoners that he has and open up their memories to this tragedy, but show them the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because invariably Sigmar plucks them like right before they can actually defend their families from being slaughtered, or their people, or what the tragic
when they're
event.
needed most.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what if he took them and basically put that on repeat in their heads for like
100 years.
100 years, and made them just relive that moment, but relive it not to the point where they originally forgot, but like a few moments after.
Yeah.
So they see that it's Sigmar that pulled them away, right? And then after like 100 years of taking, I don't know, thousands or whatever Stormcast and making them do this, he kills them all and lets them all go back to Azir together.
Yeah.
To go ask.
With that anger intact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be something.
That would be one of the hardest storylines to write. And I mean, we have to face facts. The game is called Age of Sigmar for a reason. He's not going to get his butt kicked. I mean, he may get kicked into oblivion, and the rest of it is him clawing his way back into, power.
Right.
But he's not going to go away. But
No.
he's certainly due for a comeuppance, and he's due for a reality check. And honestly, I think, this is just me speculating, I think he's going to get a reality check, and he's going to realize, or maybe he already has, that the Stormcast were a very bad thing to have done, to enslave all those people for eons to just fight for you mindlessly, that maybe you let the ends justify the means, and that's not what you always meant to do. So maybe he's working on something that's going to supplement and or replace the Stormcast Eternals, or maybe set them in some way free and allow them to choose to remain with him, or basically finally pass into oblivion without having to be a recycled warrior. I mean, maybe he's going to resolve himself and become the god he always wanted to be, or he meant to be, but kind of departed from. Because it's, when you look at all these books, he has seen where his decision was very, very bad and very incorrect. And even in the book that you're reading now, Soul Wars,
Oh, yeah.
he has that heart-to-heart with the one guy from the old world, the sorcerer. And he's like, yeah, I've made some pretty big mistakes. And the problem is, when you're God and you make a mistake, it's magnified.
Yeah.
So, I think maybe what we're going to see is an evolution of Stormcast into something maybe less unfeeling, uncaring, and twisted, and more into people that actually choose to follow Sigmar. And I think it's going to actually open up the door for something you've always said you would hate to see.
Oh, God.
But that's basically chaos.
No, I don't want, no.
Well, I mean, it's if you wake them all up, if you give them all the ability to understand what happened to them, some of them are going to be awfully upset, and they're going to be like,
yeah, I guess. Well, then retcon. I don't want any of that nonsense.
I don't want to see it either. But there's no way that you take all those Stormcast Eternals, give them back their memories, and have them go, yeah, it's all right. You enslaved me for several generations to just be a mindless warrior but I forgive you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's what's going to happen. Archeon's going to make a play for his ear.
Slaanesh is going to help him.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, because remember they were talking how, Archeon actually kind of likes Slaanesh because he's the least jerky of the.
Yeah, ultimately
she.
He wants to kill them all.
Well, yeah, but he'll work with Slaanesh.
Yeah. So Archeon will make a play for his ear. Sigmar will fail. Nagash will think that everything comes to him and then it doesn't, so he'll sit in a corner and pout.
After performing some ritual that breaks everything.
Yeah. Teclis will genocide his own people again, because that's what he does.
Because they need that, yeah.
Tyrion will sit casually by. Morathi will construct EULAs for everybody that nobody else reads, so she'll own all their souls. And then when it's all about to go down the pot again, Malarian shows up out of the shadows.
Wow.
And rectifies everything because he's the boss.
Why can't Grungnir or Grimnir come back and do that?
They quit, man.
Did they really?
They punched out. Well, Grimnir's dead.
Out, bro.
And Grungnir is like, I gotta go into self-isolation because I helped Sigmar and he's kind of a
jerk.
moron.
Well, okay, but let's just get down to it. Death means nothing. So, I mean, yeah. How many times has Nagash died? Or at least have his...
That's what I'm saying.
face
Like, he'll
pushed
be
in.
like, oh, it's all coming to me. This is what it kills me because I'm listening to Soul Wars. And he's just like, I get everything because that's the way I want it to be. And if it doesn't go that way, then somebody's stealing from me. And it's like, look here, you
You're a
knuckle
total
dragger.
Muppet.
Yeah, he's such a clown. They shouldn't have done the new model. They should have left him the old ancient
old metal
1980s
clown?
giant clown hat model because that's what Nagash is.
Nagash the Juggalo.
Yeah, he's just unbearably dumb sometimes.
He can be. He really can be.
Anyways,
Yep.
I turned Morathi into a rant about how pathetic Nagash is.
I know, we always end up bantering about Sigmar and Nagash somehow.
It's because Sigmar's the big player, right?
And that's just it, is there's so
he's the
much.
biggest shaker and mover of it all.
And really what happens, what he decides to do is going to be the crux of, I think, all of these books. And I think all this posturing, I almost guarantee you the next book is going to be Slanesh and getting all that stuff in line.
Right.
So that you can play Mortals and Hedonites and all that other good stuff and, making that into a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as well as probably, 4 or 5 other factions so that they get toys too. But ultimately it has to come down to Archeon and Sigmar facing off.
Yeah.
And, the supporting cast of characters is going to be, that's what I think these books are going to determine, is who's on whose side.
Yeah, well, yeah, because leading up to this, like, the rest of them don't really do anything.
Yeah.
Alariel is more than content to kind of kick it in the realm of life and try to hold off against Nurgle.
Nurgle.
Tyrion is not quite fleshed out yet of to what he's doing, and we'll probably get that soon.
Yeah.
Teclis is...
that could be a book of its own.
yeah, it very well could be, actually. Teclis is just a genius. He's a special boy. But again, he just can't he can't stop tripping over himself and screwing things up. Grungni is in self-imposed exile. So, there's Morathi, who is making obviously massive plays for godhood. And
She did it.
I think, that achievement is unlocked. Gorka Morka is nowhere to be seen. Probably for the best, because he'd rock up and start smashing stuff for just the fun of it. Yeah. And then Nagash is just sitting there pouting about how it should all come to him, and it's not. And the rest of them will rue the day they crossed me.
Oh, there's Nagash.
Yeah.
Nagash is all. Yeah, stop.
Right. And he's like, okay, what about Elven Salt? No, you don't get those, and you're cool with that.
Yeah.
What about Oryx Salt? No, you don't get. No. It's really just humans. You're a very one-dimensional god of death.
Yeah.
Good for you, buddy.
And let me just run down the list of your accomplishments in the last 10 million years.
Does that not make Nagash the most racist god of all? That he only cares about human souls? I'm just throwing that out there. Does he do anything for ogres? So he's a body shamer too?
Yeah, pretty much. He's a fat shamer.
Yeah.
Whoa, I can't play death anymore.
No?
Damn
Bill?
it. Cancel culture. I'm canceling death.
Cancel Nagash. Hashtag cancel Nagash. It comes full circle.
Yeah, really. Oh, my God. So, yeah, in conclusion, and we should probably drag this to an end.
Yeah. Morathi is A++ book.
Yes. It's probably the best book they have put out for the system yet. And it only harkens to more awesomeness coming, because if the next book is half as good, it's going to be an A+.
I will stand by you on that statement.
Mm-hmm.
I have to agree this is probably the best entry into the last 5 years of Age of Sigmar.
And it's not just because we've needed it for so long and it's just the story moves forward, and then the things that you get for the factions that were mentioned are completely tied to that story. Yeah. And it gives you so many hooks, and it allows you to sit there and do like we just did, is postulate what might come next.
Yeah, well, it hits everything.
Yeah.
It's so well done. The narrative is fantastic. The story progresses great.
Yep.
Morathi is shown for the mastermind that she is and how unbelievably driven she is for a goal, while the rest of the gods kind of sit there and do twiddle their thumbs at this point.
They're all just watching her going, what is she? Wait a minute. What did she just do?
Oh, God. It's happening. Yeah. And then rules-wise, it reinvigorates two older books with Daughters of Cain and Idneth Deepkin that were still very good armies, but it just makes more of those books playable, which is what you want. And then it expands cities in Slaves to Darkness.
Yep.
And
Stormcast.
And with Stormcast, it makes a bunch of your older models that you probably weren't using because the Soul Chamber with the castigators and the sequitors. Those were
Storm Vaults.
Those were likely what you were using, and your liberators and adjudicators and all that were gathering
We're all
dust.
gathering dust.
And now it's like, well, not that my sequitors are any worse. I can still play with those, but now I have a solid, viable reason to bust out my 5-year-old Stormcast that.
Well, and what's really crazy is, remember when I said at the top, one of the only things that bothered me about this book was that the campaign is very specifically the armies on page 75.
Oh, yeah.
The armies that you will need is you need either Morathi's army, Stormcast Eternals, Daughters of Cain, Van Brecht, or Insurrectionists, which is Cities of Sigmar. And then on the other side, it's Slaves to Darkness, Idneth Deepkin, Beastmasters, and Anvil Guard, basically cities. So if you don't have those armies, you can't play this campaign.
Right.
But how many people have, and don't realize it probably, an entire Stormcast army?
Yeah.
You know, that of the old stuff, just because you pick it up as you went. And, you know, it literally fell into your hands. So, yeah, you may not be the guy with the Morathi, Daughters of Cain, or Idneth army, but if you can throw the Stormcast on the table, hey, all of a sudden, this entire campaign's opened up to you.
Yeah.
And you guys can do this and have a bunch of fun. And this is a campaign in this book. It's a narrative campaign. There are, if you take losses in game one, that represents and that follows you through the next game and the next game. So these are all tied together, and it's an amazing little campaign. That's why I said if you're a narrative player, this unlocks a whole new campaign idea, and it's one of those ideas that I've always loved, is that losses should matter.
Right.
And getting tabled should matter to the next game. Now, in 40K and in the Crusade rules, they have dealt with this by giving you, if your unit is wiped out, there's a chance that it's carrying a scar. It's carrying a problem with it as it goes forward. And that's something AOS campaigns have always been missing, is there's no problem with just throwing everybody into the meat grinder because what the hell? I lost 2,000 points today, but tomorrow I start with another 2,000 points. Yay.
Hey, whatever works.
But now it's got a campaign system in here. So if you're just a flat-out narrative player and you could care less about the changes to Daughters of Cain, there's still a ton of stuff in this book that is huge for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, A+++.
Yep.
So, yeah. So I would say let's close it down.
Well, before we close it out.
We're not closing it out.
Not yet. We need to get to the plumbing issue.
Oh.
In Hive Cities.
Yes.
And Necromunda Gang Wars.
God, we said it at the intro, and here we were not going to deliver.
So, joining us on a Skype call is plumbing extraordinaire. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody cares.
We're carrying this joke way too far.
Yeah.
It's only funny to us. Yeah, we're not doing plumbing. But what we are going to do is the very next time we record, which oddly enough, because of the holiday, we're recording tonight. I'm going to edit in the morning and try to put it out
Sunday.
So it will be
Bada
out
bing,
Sunday
bada
morning.
boom.
Yeah. But then we record again next week where we're going to cover some different stuff about AOS roles and maybe some other stuff. But we're going to, when next we record, the month of November will be over, so we will be doing the first draw for the Indomitus box.
Yeah.
So we've got about $300-400 in the raffle, the charity.
I haven't looked yet.
Yeah, it's. I think we're up around $400. So we will do the draw next time we record, which is next week.
Nice.
So yeah, somebody's gonna win an Indomitus box, and hopefully get it to them by Christmas. Maybe, who knows?
That would be very cool.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Your Christmas present from the Rolling Bad Guys. I think that's it. Are we done?
Yes.
Stormcaster, cool.
We have to wait while Elric plays a game on his phone
I don't want to lose my cooldown, Bill.
because it's really, super important that we get these electrons that exist solely in the ethos. Yes, but we have to make them be a Marvel Avenger or some other whatever.
You're just jealous. All right.
I got to tell you, the one night that I had that I was going to actually do some hobby, I started playing Martyr, and that was it. Pam at 11 o'clock was like, hey, you coming to bed? I'm like, no, I'm in the middle of a crusade. God damn it.
I actually bought Marvel Avengers.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about that. Is it
Yeah.
pretty good?
Yeah, and I'm surprised because I saw an article that GameRanks put out. Apparently apparently Square Enix lost like $48 million on that game.
Really?
Yeah, so it did not take off the way they were hoping. However, it's like I forget the term. It's like a continuation title or some shit. And apparently, it's like this new style of gaming that they're doing, where they put out a game, and then it's kind of like an MMO where they keep putting out stuff for it.
New content.
Yeah, and some of it you pay for or whatever, and that's how they want to continue to generate income. So hopefully it'll break even.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know. I can see why some people might not like it, but I had a shitload of fun.
Yeah.
Like, the story's pretty good. And I ran around smashing the shit out of things as Hulk. Like, I don't know what else you'd want.
Yeah. Hello. That works for me. Well, let's talk about it when we get to something. Who knows?
Stormcaster, cool.
It's the professionalism that people
That
come
sets us
for.
apart.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, sorry. That was terrible. And there's always one device I forget to turn the ringer off on. Oh, well.
If you would like to get in touch with us, you can reach us at our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/rollingbadpodcast, all one word. Our Patreon page is at www.patreon.com/rollingbadpodcast, again, all one word. The Twitter account for the show is at rolling_bad. And our individual Twitters are, for me, at Bill Castello, BILLCASTELLO, and for Elric, it's at Elric Edge, ELRICEDGE. All of our guests on the show will have their contact information in that show's show notes. The music in the show is used courtesy of Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com and used under the Creative Commons license. The Rolling Bad Podcast is protected under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. Information for this license can be found at creativecommons.org.